Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, executives, artists, musicians, you name it, across the world in crypto and blockchain. And today I have an absolutely amazing guest. And I'm going to try to pronounce his last name correctly. His name is Nicolas Gidou. He is the founder and CEO at Ultra Games. Nicolas, welcome.
Thanks a lot, Jamil. Thanks for having me today. And looking forward to the podcast.
So am I. Awesome. So let me ask you the first question is what is your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
Sure. Sounds good. I believe so. In a sense, I've been really a hardcore and avid gamers for all my youth, spent, I think, countless hours playing games, Counter-Strike especially, doing a lot of tournaments, going around the world to do championships and so on. And that's also how I met my co-founder for this project. And as a co-founder, I've been making companies with for the past 20 years now, more or less. And basically what we've been doing around the clock of gaming is really doing mobile gaming. So creating a mobile game studio, creating as well a PC game studio, which was building a AAA FPS. This one got acquired by Kingsoft. It was in China. So I spent 8 years, give or take, in China. We also worked with creating a game monetization strategy company. So basically helping large companies, the Tencents of the world, Game After others, to improve the monetization of their games. So basically increasing retention or finding better way to monetize, modifying the game design. That was very interesting. And the last company before creating Ultra was actually a game console company. So we worked in China as well. We had around roughly 120 million from Chinese government, Chinese banks, to make a new game console, which was like a PS4 Pro level of console. A very interesting project as well. And in terms of blockchains, I've been around since late 2010. So yeah, we had like miners back in the days. It was like the very first years of crypto. Anything that happened was after that. Before was just the Bitcoin, and after we had Ethereum, smart contracts, and everything coming up. That's really where my interest sparked into merging gaming and blockchain, because basically we've been developing games, playing games, helping to market games, helping to publish and distribute games, making the hardware of the games, the distribution platform of the game, and the monetizations of the game. So basically, sort of the whole experience. And so we could foresee a lot of problems that we encountered during the years. And that's what we managed to solve here with Ultra.
I have a follow-up there already. So you added to Bitcoin in 2010, and that was the only really one that was there. And then Ethereum, of course, came along. So at one point you said to yourself, you know what, let me merge this payment crypto blockchain with gaming. How did you determine that gaming could be an off-ramp or a subsector of the greater crypto industry?
I think at that point in time, so we saw initially Ethereum and what it could be doing, because Bitcoin was great, but it was really for payment in a sense of storing your money. That was not interesting for gaming at that point in time. Then smart contracts came along, and that was really when you started to have some bits and pieces that were interesting for the games industry. No, it was not usable because of all the way it's structured. Like you have gas fees, you need to have private keys. I mean, yeah, not a gamer stream for sure. But there was some really great potential in terms of synergies. So really the fact you have this blockchain that anybody can tap on can create synergies between the games industry that are really hard to do. Like how can you have a tournament, an esport platform, like a live stream, purchasing your game, your community, your funding, the whole thing connected.
Interesting, fascinating. I looked through all the subsectors recently of crypto, and I'm like, 60% of the stuff I never heard of, so it's growing so dramatically. So, Ultra Games, right? Ultra Games. What is that all about? And then what makes your suite stand out from what's out there today in the market?
Yeah. So if you think about Ultra Games, so Ultra Games is a part of Ultra. So it's not just Steam++ in a sense. It's really the creation of an entire ecosystem. So Ultra Games is the equivalent of Steam. So it would have discounts. It has, you can buy games, you can download games, you can play games the same way you would have on Steam. Different is that you also have Web 2 and Web 3 games. And then you can resell your games as well. But basically, the big thing is about the entire ecosystem as well. So the fact that we don't try to have a Steam competitor and beat them on the same features and content and hope it works. That's not gonna work. Is much more on the ecosystem aspect. So the idea is that today you don't have, that doesn't exist on the PC side. What you have is siloed services, applications, content. Whatever you have on Steam just lives on Steam and always will be on Steam. And what we have is that basically we integrate all the pieces together in a sense that you can compete, you can play tournaments, you can watch live streams of your favorite streamers and players, you can buy your games, you can resell your games afterward, you can be part of a community. The whole ecosystem is really the vision we have. You could compare us in a sense a bit with a PlayStation or Xbox that really offers the ecosystem, but much more open. So it goes more into the iOS/Android aspect, where basically we create the first piece of technology, we create the tools, we create the few first applications. Like on your phone, you have phone, message, calendar, a few things. That's what we do with Ultra Games, Ultra Arena, Unique Marketplace, and all that. And then we open it to third parties. So anybody building something, whether it already exists like a Twitch or something that does not exist, and like, oh, I'm gonna take advantage of this new concept and create an app that's gonna fit perfectly in the middle of it. And all of those services are embedded into one single ecosystem. And the idea is to offer seamless experience. So when you're a player, you don't have to log in to each of them. Everything is, with a single sign-on everywhere. Whatever you earn can be visible to the others. Like if, for example, you bought a game, your tournament platform will know that you own this game, so they will be able to propose you some cool tournaments. The same way, if you watch a live stream, you would be able to earn maybe a cool copy of that game. So this is really the ecosystem angle that I believe is the strong suit of Ultra, is that's been proven to be working with on phones. Like everybody has a phone, tons of apps. You don't care about the tech, you care about the content. And we basically build the frameworks to have this content on PC. That's very high level, but that gives you an idea of how deep it can be and how wide it can become.
Youssef, you said this word a few times already, and I want to find out the current status of it, because I know it changed, but I don't know what it changed to. Tournaments. Before COVID, used to be sold out arenas, right? What is it, morphed into now? What is the status of and then I'll ask you about, the Web 2 versus Web 3, but I want to find out what the current state of esports and tournaments are.
In terms of esports tournaments, the game industry as a whole, when you had the COVID period, just people stayed home, so they could have time. They played tournaments. They did much more than what they did before, and we could see that is much higher than before COVID. So pre-COVID, post-COVID is very different. People start to have habits, and those habits stays. The same way now you work from home, like lots of people work from home because actually it worked. And that's the same for the esports in a sense. The problem with esports was much more around the monetization of it, because there is a big interest from brands, big interest from people, because the audience is a very attractive audience. They're usually the good age range, they have money, And so that's attractive to brands. But then the whole model revolves around sponsoring, advertisements, and that's today's status. A bit like sport. If you check football, it lives, yeah, because you have advertisement, but then there's a whole new market around it, which is players. You trade the players, you buy one, you have a team. Oh, the Dubai decide to invest into a large football club and acquire it because why not? So that's really like the next level of esports. For me, that's what I believe. So today you have traditional esport, which is based on advertising and sponsoring, but the next level will also be around what you see in the traditional sports. And I think that's going to be very exciting to see.
It is, because the Web 2, right? Gaming, like I said, is based on sponsorship, and so that's the old style. So how do you bridge that gap between Web 2 and Web 3 gaming?
I would say Web 2 and Web 3 gaming today, the problem you have is a lot about the experience. So when you enter Web 3 and you are not crypto native in a sense, it's a nightmare. I mean, even for crypto native, it's still a nightmare. Wait, you need a wallet. Okay, sure. I don't have that wallet. Okay, let me get it, download it. Problem, passphrase, this, need to write it down. Not gonna work. I need to use the game, but I need to buy some crypto first. Otherwise, I cannot play the game. That's today's status. I mean, some are doing that a bit better already today, but it's still far from the good solution. And I think that's really something which is key, is make it as seamless, as invisible as possible. You're not supposed to know you're using a crypto or blockchain product. You're supposed to be like, okay, I want to play a game. That game's great. My friend plays it. I'm going to play it. Or this influencer plays it. Stops there. But then you get extra experience. So it's a little bit more like people need to be taught how to interact with Web3 products without having the feeling that they are taught. Because nobody likes that. Nobody likes to be taught something. Like, especially a gamer, like, let me do. I know how to do. And if you take the parallel with, for example, Microsoft, like when you had Windows, everybody played Minesweeper, everybody played Solitaire, the card game. Why? Why did they put that there? Actually, one was to learn to do the right click with Minesweeper. The other one was to drag and drop. I'm dragging and dropping my card. It works. Great. I learned how to use Windows now. Now I can do it. And so that's really the way that you should be teaching Web3. It should be invisible, transparent, and that's what we have in mind as well with Ultra. When you're using basically the ecosystem, you're receiving, for doing a normal action, like resetting your game, you get some UOS, which is the crypto, that you can use to buy something else. Like, I got something, cool, I can buy something with it. Fine, great. I just did the review of a game. I just received some crypto as well. That's cool. I played this tournament and I can see that it's recorded somewhere in my profile. I can see the one of others as well. This one is really good, this player, how come? And then you can start to see basically the Web3 expansion without really feeling that you are learning something new. It's just like new cool features to you.
Interesting. People don't like to think they're being taught, or they don't like to listen.
Yeah.
What it is.
Yeah. Nobody wants to listen to the teacher in class, right? that's how it works. But that's rough on them. So it's hard to teach something. I mean, here, basically, you need to make it in a way like same as in school. They do it with games and you don't know you're learning, but actually you're learning something. That's really the way to go. And I think the other aspect is also on the content creator side, so game developers, publishers, and all the actors of the industry. You need to offer a solution for the problem they already have today. Like discoverability is a problem, monetization is a problem, community growth is a problem. So all those inherent problems to the Web 2 are exactly the same for Web 3. So the thing is, if you can provide a solution that fits both, they also can have access to new tools in the same box, in a sense. So if you give a SDK, you have achievement, leaderboard, you can create like a messaging solution, communities and all that. but you can also create some NFTs. You can also check the blockchain account of the user. So we give you the keys as well as a Web2 developers to use to develop on Web3. So it's really like merging both and offering the same solution in the end. Like if we create a new cool solution for influencers to promote your game, whether it's a Web2 or Web3, nobody cares. The big difference is that the Web3 can give you also some extra bullets as an influencer to do a better job, saying that, hey, I'm gonna give you some virtual items, I give you a few game copies, and all that simply with NFTs. I just give them to you, you give them away, you make a cool, I would say, a presentation of the game, and anybody who's gonna buy the game, you get your percentage automatically. And this can all be done with blockchain, transparently, with zero integration efforts. So you don't need to do anything, you just need to use the system. And that's really, to me, how you also bridge the gap, is by providing solution for all that can work. And it's using Web3 tech at the end of the day. But you just, again, as a web dev, you don't really, as a game dev, you don't especially have to use it. You just use the feature we provide to you.
I still think of one of the biggest issues that we see. I mean, say the technology is there and you can do it, and that's a solution long term, right? And it's a seamless transition, right? I still think that exists today, and let me know your thoughts on this, a trust issue, right? How can we create more trust and gain the state, a better state of credibility with blockchain gaming? Because I believe there's still a stigma. What do you think about that?
No, it's totally fair. It's totally fair assessment. That's history and experience. People see what happened. And nothing looked really good so far. In a sense that there was like people heard scam, there was like people who lost money, there was like all this kind of bad vibe around it. Now there was some success stories as well, but they are not gaming success stories. They're around the games industry, like you have CryptoKitties or others, which, it basically opened the door to the large developers and to see that, oh, there is potential. And that's, I think, to me, where they started to, okay, that's maybe something, let's dig a bit into it. But that wasn't a real gaming, like there was no gamers playing, like the early crypto games. So it's really more about speculation, and that was what it was. And today we don't have yet amazing games that are like out of the box. You start to have some. You had like Cross the Ages doing super well. You had like a lot of games that are starting now to be successful. That's the beginning. We didn't have like a huge success story so far that is all over the press. And I think that's what's missing. When you're going to start to have people like seeing that actually that's a real business, they're going to put more effort into it. But I mean, all the large, like a Rockstar or like, I don't know, EA or whatnot, when they start to put their efforts into it, you're going to see like a big change. I mean, some tried from the large ones, but there was a problem of messaging, problem of how it's been done. But I think people learn over time, and we will be able to see, I think in the near future, we're going to start to see a much better environment than before. When you have like the large ones, incumbent that are part of it, it's less stressful for the rest. But I think that's a question of success stories.
So that's where I guess you're going to leverage your experience with Tencent, right? With the institutions and with the creation of a PC gaming store, right? Like, what are some of the painful lessons that you can take from crypto, plus your experience from Tencent, and create, something for going forward? How do you see the merge of your two experiences in the gaming and the crypto and Tencent, so that for the future of the gaming stores?
Yep. In terms of the gaming store, I think what we've seen in the past is, it really started right 20 years ago as a digital version. So Steam is, I think, almost 20 years now, maybe a bit later this year. And we've seen how it was before, so physical, then it went to digital. And basically what it did that you started also to have like the self-publishing aspect that came with it. And that was something new, that people could self-publish. And I think that's really the big first change that happened in the space, that space. Now today, PC game store, the main problem is that's really hard for finding great games, because there is lots of them that are great, but nobody ever saw them. Lots of uncovered gems for the players. That's today one of the biggest problem, I believe. You also have the gray market. Like you can see a lot of website around, and usually it's not beneficial for the game developers. They don't really earn from it. So if somebody they made a cool discount, actually the rest of the market is out of their hand. That's something that we tackled with the second-hand resale solution. So as a game publisher, you can say, hey, I will accept that your game can be resold, but only after 3 months, because I know my launch plan, how it's going to be. I know at that point in time, that's the perfect time for opening secondary market. And I will put some boundaries as well, saying, okay, you can resell, but that's minimum $20 for the game. And I will get a percentage as well. So that's all of a sudden it become an incentive for game publishers to do so. Before they had no incentive. Even on the physical world was the same. You go to GameStop, you give your game, people buy it, but the game developers gets nothing, which that's so fair. And that's really something that we make a big switch that happened with our technology, and that's because you have the blockchain tech that can allow these kind of things. And the fact that you also oh, that player is a game, even if I don't know who that is, I can still reward him. I can bring him into a tournament. I can offer him like an AMA, because we can see he was one of the early players in our games. So there's many things you can do around the clock that are valuable. I guess the other problems you have is with Steam. You bought tons of games. They are stuck in a library, taking dust. You most likely never played them. Sometimes you play them a bit. Sometimes you finish them. That's the really rare one. But all of that is no more value for you. But it could have value for somebody else. And we also believe that's something that should be fixed with the secondary market. So there are really a lot of solutions today that are, to me, like limited, because simply the tech behind it wasn't there. Yep, that's really about that aspect. But I think maybe something that could be of interest for the game store, that was explained earlier during this podcast, was really the ecosystem angle. Is that indeed a game store shouldn't be alone somewhere. It's part of an ecosystem. It's part of a lifestyle, for life cycle, whatever you want to call it. But this is part of an ecosystem. So it's pretty sad that today a lot of the players are only seeing that part, buying the games. But actually, there's many services around the games industry that would make their life better. They would be like, oh, cool. What if I didn't know Twitch exists? I might be a bit sad, because I like this game, but I didn't know I could see players playing the game in live and then see how do they play, how do they learn from it. So this is like discoverability, but on the whole games industry side. Today is siloed into different services, but I want as a gamer to have full access. Right now I don't have full access. I do, but I don't know where to find it. And that's really a big undertaking that we put in place with the ecosystem, that we solve with this ecosystem. And I believe that's really the future for me of game stores. That's part of the ecosystem, not just siloed.
Maybe I'm understanding this incorrectly, but when I think siloed, I think of institutions, I think of corporations, I think of slow to move companies. But you said a little bit ago, self-published gamers. And I'm a self-published author. I don't think of self-published gaming, creations. Like how can the game store leverage and help self-published gamers who I'm thinking are more, what's the word, agile? How can you create something that would be more agile with that game store to help the self-developed, self-published game?
No, exactly. If you take example of self-publishing platform, so Steam is a self-publishing platform, for example, but there are not many out there. Today, when you self-publish on Steam, you basically enter an ocean a big ocean of games. There's like 10,000 games out there, like 800 per month. So it doesn't help you so much. It helps you on the tech side because people can buy your game, download the game, upgrade the game, and all that. But you're not discoverable at all. And what we bring with Ultra is, again, leveraging the technology so that people can talk about your game, promote your games, and earn from it automatically and guaranteed. So there is no trust issue there. You don't need even to sign a contract with somebody. It's all automatic. So if, let's say, I'm Ubisoft or I'm a small developer, is the same. I can say if I'm releasing the new Assassin's Creed and I say I want to give 10% of my sales to the first 10,000 persons who promote it, I can. With the technology we developed, that's possible. But at the same time, if I'm a small indie, I can say, hey, I'm going to give 30% of my sales because I don't have the whole structure behind that I need to pay for and recoup my investment. It's a totally different story. And you can say, I'm going to give 30% for this many time or for this long or for this many copies. And how does that work is that if I'm an influencer, if I'm a publication, if I'm on a podcast, I can talk about the specific game that I believe is great. And I know I will earn from it because when people buy the game, I will earn my part as well. And so all in all, it's a sort of self-regulating market because if everybody talk about the same game, obviously it's going to be more visible, but you're going to make less money as an influencer because so many people are talking about it. But if you find a gem, you're like, oh, this one is really cool. I'm going to talk about this one. And you promote it correctly, people buy it, you will earn much more. So there's really a sort of market that's going to self-regulate itself because all games have their audience. All games are interesting to somebody. And all people, I would say, would be fan of one type of game. So if I'm a big fan of bridge construction games, that's a thing. Why not? I'm going to talk about it to my community, to all the people around it, and I'm going to earn from it. And the game developer is going to be super happy because he self-published and he managed to have a tons of audience and sales. That's one of the way we can do it.
I'm a little confused. I've talked to some gaming executives who told me that they're moving away from play to earn. So I don't know what the and others are not. So I don't know what the status is, if that's still a gray area. And what's the current status on the gaming industry and play to earn, and is there an improvement upon that?
Yeah. I think play to earn is really like what I was explaining earlier. It's really about purely selling the game copy, so premium games. You buy the game, go for it. That's a good solution. On the play to earn issues is you want players. You don't want people who are just there pressing a button and don't interact with the game, just being there for being there. That's what happened with play to earn a lot, is that you have farms of people clicking on the game the same way you had gold farmers back in the World of Warcraft days that were gold farming. That's what they were not contributing to the game. They were just creating a sort of other game within the game. So this, I fully agree, that's not the way to go. This is, I think, the first step of trial and error for the blockchain gaming. That was the play to earn. The same way you had free to play. Free to play got, everybody was hating free to play at the beginning, and I bet Bethesda tried with their horse and stuff. Like, oh, with the DLCs, oh, buy something more. What? Why should I buy something more? I bought the game. Give me the game. So play to, and that was, one of the first issue people saw. They did play to win that came up with free to play, and there was a big, big drama around this. People learned from it. They improved. There's very few free play to win now. And that's the same with play to earn. We saw here the first try. People saw that it worked initially, but then the model is not sustainable, and in the end, it's not fun. It's not really the game you want to play. So it's much more about putting the gamer first back at the center of the game. Good experience, cool gameplay, but basically having this sort of around the game. To me, that's very important, is that the game is not siloed as a game. is that this game can interact with an entire world. So this game can be you as a player. If you play a lot of this game, you start to earn cool items, cool things that allows you to get access to something outside of the game. You can maybe go to supermarket and redeem something. That's possible as well. All of that is really the sort of opening the gates. Right now, gates are closed. Opening the gates would allow you that. Would allows you to basically have this interaction, which are beneficial for everyone, not just to you as a gamer, but to each actors. And I think that's the model we are going towards. That's what we develop as well at Ultra. We have multiple game studios that we partially own, which are developing games as well exclusively, and that are having this mindset of, okay, I'm gonna make this game first for the players, make it as exciting as possible, and provide mechanics that allows them to bring that value that they generate within the game, not monetary value specifically, but just value. Like it can be a status, it can be something really rare that I want to show off to people. All of those elements and those to build your sort of digital identity. So the fact you play this game, the fact you earn this, people know about it, they can give you some benefits, you can resell some parts, you can participate to a tournament, and you can also contribute to the game itself. You can be early on, you start your journey with the game developers, not when they release the game, but before they release the game. So you can be part of this community, helping the game developers to be known because you believe in what they are doing, but also helping on the community side, on the growth, on the sales, on IDs, helping to make decisions sometimes. So that's really the sort of the gamers are really part of the game that's not existing today with Web 2. And that's I think Web 3 can bring as well to the game space, is this sort of very core audience. Today, you don't have that much of that core audience, but that's what you can bring as well with Web 3. From start to finish, and then
Sounds awesome. I think it all sounds very promising. There's a lot there to build upon. That sounds great. I do want to go back to the stigma piece. There is, when you think of gaming, I think of gaming in two ways. One is playing games, and all this ecosystem of what you're building, all of it. And I've done that all my life. Two, gaming is gambling. And recently there's been an onslaught of gambling tokens, right? And I've had people come up to me and say, "Oh, I'm not going to touch that crypto stuff because it's all gambling." Well, it's not all gambling. So how do you make the distinction for people between meme gaming, gambling, and gaming, crypto, Web3 development, pay-come player gaming?
Yeah, but I would say the whole meme crypto is just negative, not only for the game space, but I think for any space. Any crypto space in general just bad with this kind of things. That's a very bad outlook for the public, and pure speculative, nothing behind in a sense. But that's, I guess, going to be shut down at some point, I think, by governments, because once these investors, like large investors, getting screwed, fine. They don't care as much, but when in retail getting screwed, that's bad. Those are the people voting. so when they get screwed, they're not happy. They're not happy about you because you're the one managing the whole country. So then you start to be very reactive and start to regulate. And regulation is good. It just needs to be done in a smart way by people who understand what's going on and what are the possibilities, and not block the vision, block the possibilities. But I think in terms of the solution is much more about, again, not talking about crypto, not talking about blockchain. Just let people enjoy the product, and that's it. As long as you tag it, you flag it as crypto blockchain, you're gonna get into troubles because you're gonna have like people with very strong opinions against it, who are gonna fight for it, dedicate their lives against it, which is not what you want. And maybe, or they're misinformed, which is possible, or they really believe it is. But a lot of it is misinformation, because people still have the stigma of, oh, it's consume a lot of energy, which is the case for some technologies, still the case today. And this crypto gambling aspect, and pump and dump and scams and all that. So that's really, the problem is history. If you started from today, you had a much better life than if you started 10 years ago and, okay, this is all what happened. Oh, I hate that. If today you came with just the solution of, okay, that's a cool game, that's a cool solution, I'm gonna use it, great. I earned something, great. I can have access to this, awesome. Why would I complain? There's no reason. But you had this history that you have to deal with. So I think really it's gonna come down to providing is a seamless interaction as you can, so nobody feels or think about that, and don't have the stigma of the past.
Sounds great to me. I agree. So yeah, I want to thank you very much for your time today. This has been a wonderful conversation. I enjoyed speaking with you and I learned a lot. And I have one last question, and it's an easy one. How can people find out more information about you, about Ultra Games? How can they play any of your games? How can they get involved in your community?
Totally. Basically, the website is ultra.io. From there, you get access to all our socials, and you can also download the client. So that's the very first step you want to get into. Get on the website, ultra.io, download the client, and from there, you will already feel the ease of use, because you're going to use a blockchain product, but you don't know it's a blockchain product. You're going to have to put your phone, because we need to know in which country. That's fair. So we can apply the right rates for you. If you're in the US, you want to pay in US dollars. Fair enough. And that's really all it is. So very simple. You get into it, you download the client, and then you can already start to buy games and start to get into the mood. Credit card, whatnot, it all works. You don't have to be pushed into crypto again. Just do like you would be doing everywhere else, like on Steam or elsewhere, and you will start to learn more and more about the ecosystem.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks so much, Jamil. Thanks for having me.